Welcome to Step 8, Objection Handling, Reframing an Objection as an Opportunity rather than a threat. I'm Jackie Perkins and I have been going on a journey with you on my 10 steps to solution selling. So before we go any further, what I'd like to ask you is, what is an objection? If someone had to pose that question to you, what would your answer be? What is an objection? Now, I'm going to suggest that an objection is a request for more information. And why is it so important that you have that view of an objection? I really want you to examine your internal dialogue. When someone objects in the middle of you trying to offer a solution to either a client or a manager or a team, I want you to think about that internal dialogue. Does it go, oh damn, they're not buying into my idea, oh damn, they're not going to buy my product or my service, oh damn, I'm losing this? Or do you go, awesome, this person is engaged, they're asking questions, that means they're interested, they just need further clarification and information? That's how I want you to be thinking about an objection, because remember, 93% of your message is communicated by your nonverbals, and if your internal dialogue is, oh shit, they're objecting, your nonverbals are going to be, so what I need to tell you is, and immediately you go into defensive mode, which is going to completely put off the person you're talking to. But if your internal dialogue is fantastic, you've got a question, let's answer it, you're going to have a far more relaxed, engaged interaction where you position yourself as a trusted advisor trying to help a fellow human being find a solution instead of trying to sell something to someone. So let's have a little think about how we're going to approach this. I've got a 4-step objection handling process that I'd love to share with you, because this is dynamite. Once you master this, there isn't an objection in the world you won't handle. So please grab a pen and paper or your iPad and make a note of these 4 steps. The first step is to validate their concern. So what does validate mean to you? Validate is acknowledging they have a different viewpoint, acknowledging they might have a concern, validating their right to have that viewpoint or a concern. It's not agreeing with that point of view, just saying it's okay to see it that way. Now let's quickly take the objection of money. So let's say someone says, that's way too expensive, I can get this far cheaper somewhere else, or really, I don't think I can pay that kind of money for what you're providing or offering. I want to just go on a little detour here and say that money is never a real objection. If someone throws money at you, it's because they don't see value in what you're offering. And that's because you haven't asked the right questions and you haven't created the need for what solution you're offering. Money is a get out of free jail card because everyone believes you'll be too embarrassed to actually challenge them on that and say, well, show me your bank account. So I'm going to take the objection, it's too expensive, or I don't see that it actually should cost that much. You know what, Wendy? Absolutely, you have a right to be duly diligent with your mom's funds. You really need to make sure you're getting value for money. I really want to help you analyze whether you're getting value for money. So Wendy then now relaxes and goes, oh good, we're not going to have an argument or a fight about this because I've validated her concern. I haven't said you're damn right it is too expensive. I've gone, you're absolutely right to look into it carefully. You absolutely need to do your due diligence. This is when I do not follow that validation with these 3 words. So please write this down. Never follow a validation with but, however, or unfortunately. The minute you use those 3 words, you trigger a threat response. It's like a red rag to a bull. This person goes from feeling, oh awesome, we're having a great conversation, I don't feel attacked or threatened, and we then say but, however, or unfortunately, and we lose that person and we've just negated all the ground that we've covered. So I want to say, you know what, I absolutely understand that you need to do your due diligence. You need to see that you're getting value for money. And you're going to segue straight into step 2, which is ask a question to get the real need from under the waterline. So remember, we spoke about those real needs and those unstated needs and the secret need. Very often when people start objecting, they throw out a surface level objection like too expensive to mask an unstated need, a real need, a secret need that they haven't put out there. So I would then segue into, help me understand what you're expecting to pay for this, or help me understand what research you've done that you believe this is too expensive, or what would you think you should be getting for what I'm actually suggesting you pay. Or what is your real concern around when you say too expensive? Is it the cost of the unit? Is it the weekly fees? What is too expensive? And then you get some clarity, so you don't just go into a pitch fest, you're finding out exactly what the problem is, so you then can give relevant information. So this leads us into our third step. Give relevant information. And I really want to stress that word relevant. You don't want to throw the book at them. You don't want to go into pitch fest or USP diarrhea. You simply want to answer the question that they raised when you say expensive, what were you referring to? What were your concerns with that? And maybe they then say, oh, I'm just really concerned about the weekly fees or something like that. And you can go, oh, okay, third step is give relevant information, and you then go through an explanation where possibly they've misunderstood what you actually were referring to. And you might say, you know what, let's do an analysis. Let's look at the cost of the weekly fees. Let's look at the cost of the unit. Let's break this down so we can compare apples with apples. Let's look at some other service providers and what they're charging, and let me help you do your due diligence. Because remember, you want to position yourself as a trusted advisor. You're not trying to pull the wool over anyone's eyes. You really want them to make an informed decision. You don't want them to purchase something or buy into an idea or a service if it's not right for them, because then you're not authentic, you have no integrity. So this segues straight into our fourth step, and if there's anything I want to stress, once you've given the relevant information, don't leave it hanging in the air, giving them an opportunity to raise more and more questions. Immediately segue into getting a commitment to the next step. So your fourth step is get a commitment to the next step in the process. So you're always thinking about moving further along the engagement. So you would immediately say, how about you go look at these other service providers, do a needs analysis, do a cost comparison, and I'm going to phone you next Tuesday to set up an appointment, and I will go through your comparison with you so we can help you make an informed decision. How does 10 o'clock next Tuesday sound to you? And immediately get a commitment to the next appointment, the next engagement, the next meeting. So remember, you've got your 4 steps. Validate. Don't follow it with a but, however, or unfortunately. Ask a question to get the real need from under the waterline. Give the relevant information, 3rd step, and immediately get a commitment to the next step, which is your 4th step. So I'm really hoping that has helped you. But remember, reframe that internal dialogue. An objection is a request for further information. You should now be ready to move into step number 9, closing with confidence. So if this has whet your appetite, I'm really looking forward to seeing you in step 9, closing with confidence. Until next time, be bold, be curious.